Prologue. A silhouette huddles over a desk. The glow of a small candle illuminates the figure, frantically scribbling on pages, typing on keys, flipping, marking, marginalia, a whirlwind. Window cracked, cold air seeping, the drop in barometric pressure from the Pacific winds traveling through the Golden Gate Strait, spreading across the estuary like smoke commingling on the pages. The poem to change the world composes itself among the inspiration of a trillion voices, texts, images, constructs, and manifestations of imaginations that yearn for a tomorrow that transcends generations, not an ethos of the present moment, but a way to civilize so that we see the tomorrow of our youth within the actions of yesterday. Song of the Memory Palace. I built a wall today around my own insecurities about progress in the ivory tower, the memories of a life unsettled and the fanatics that seek to subvert progress with archaic words, like the borders they build on flesh, family ties, denying the reality of transnationalism. The page communicates ideas of social introversion and the discourse community of hermetology, a different contradiction of desire, a different binaric schema, isolation as depth, drowning myself in work and ganj, a different sort of numb than at energy drinks, and it's the 21st century speedball. I was born a poem when war was all the time and everyone was fine with the predicament. It was during one of those California nights. Howling winds accompany sheets of rain and snow for the distant mountains, but not the tempest, rather the thaw. The drama of the Pacific where Coriolis and Ekman ride on the winds of change and dew points are cultural upwellings for equity. What is culture on parade or bougie exploitation of stories of immigration, of crossing the border inside the seat of a van after a 9/11, things changing overnight, mobile devices and a surveillance culture, of here having to fend for yourself in app-based commons. I was always a strong swimmer. During undergrad I taught swim lessons. I had to sign a 2-year non-competition contract for the company. They taught us the secret to pushing children's heads underwater. I quickly learned to avoid traditional spacing, align all to left and single space with double space formatting between paragraphs, and to see psychopharmacology as technology of intensification. What is this Carolinian space where sign means wake, but symbol says to sleep? The polarization of an active passivity through the paradigm of meaning, word making, the syntax of culture, reading between the lines of marketed behavior, stifled by a mindset of antiquity, the red-faced king shouting off with their head and a final push to ensure body as commodity, breath regime of the Jabberwocky, where the tongue replaces thought. I fear it is the end of knowledge, the result of a society that no longer values wisdom and intelligence. Consumerism breeds a passive citizen. Chomsky said the 60s were about asking questions. The new millennium has been about the supremacy of branding. Infant belching for its peers, the product of privilege for years, and yes, friends sharing the same leisure, a meme culture conditioned to react, desire hijacked by Google and Apple to ensure engagement is embodiment, the porn simulacra. As C.A. Conrad noted, no intimacy, just fast forward to the money shot, a culture numb to tenderness and soft words, morality and authority void of compassion, no love, just fucking. I avoid creating the preconceived narrative, binaric identity, imaginary outside that describes social orders of masculinity, redefining or restating what it means to be a man, watching everyone sleepwalk through a coup, the power grab of white, old ways of looking when arrested development suffers from atrophy or the decay of a culture. Interlude. A silhouette is in the midst of packing contents of the room, between puffs of a joint, the papers, pens, pads, typewriters, laptops, tablets, and other recording devices into a duffel bag. Attempting to not disrupt the collective purr of two cats, Moo and Ma, sprawled about the hardwood floor, humming a love song of the body as warmth, allegories of the love that emanates from nothing and open space. The gale howls at the windows overlooking the bay, a midday break during an unseasonable May storm for the Pacific. Sheets of rain come in 3-hour intervals. A car passes, leaving bass in its trail, the honk of a horn, the rainy urban cannonade. Song of the Architects. There is a collective threshold, a civil unrest, rebellion, revolution. The Burgess class is those who have savings, rainy day funds, those who have a career which affords job security, health care, and paid vacations. The working class checks the list and decides that chaos is one thing to like, chat, forward about, and another thing to tolerate at the store or work. The necropastoral, a digital world where space is premium and rent inaccessible. Gather the useful and intensive, locating the gaps in their seams, recognizing that possibility is a state and change is pre-thought. Dismantle the social psychasthenia, resist space replacing body, the regression, reversion, seek the origin prior to autonomism. Abiogenesis, the return to mineral state, seek dynamism at its most elemental level, the intensive that allows for us to reframe now into then, the arpeggio of existence in which the latent is privileged and brought forward, the intensity of the anti-sun, of contrast, the liminal space within non-repeating patterns. This dialectic engagement is where images function as cultural memories, the surface mobility of inanimate, accessible forms, where drinking at the pub of eternity, one often hears, have another think. An intravenous addiction to hope, its insufferably intoxicating ecstasy. The chemical corrodes the veins, corrupts the heart, and surges through my body with the strength of a million suns planting the seeds of a utopian reality. The heart stutters with every memory of losing yourself in another's eyes. This is the obligation of community, a shared existence. You were the, don't say ambrosia, potent nectar of the inability to break the delirium of your touch, taste, smile, love. This is the obligation of democracy, a shared dream. We guide the reader, the citizen, from one story to the next. Our lives, like short story cycles, orienting self in regulation to the oral tradition, arc narrative as a structural core. Nations are novels, epics, linear, monologic narratives. People are small pieces, brief glimpses of existence for the reader to peer within. The repetition of theme, conflict, setting played out through the arc narrative as reoccurring nodes of intensity. central conflicts of characters under a flag: immigration, acculturation, language acquisition, assimilation, identity formation. The trouble shaping self with the old and new world in tow. Epilogue. Two silhouettes drive toward the center of nowhere, casting a shadow in the setting sun of the desert abyss. One delivers a toast to the denudated landscape of the Mojave and its Yucca brevifolia offspring. Words echo from the union of light and dark, sky and land, poet and poem. Maybe comfort is fascism. The proletariat is divine then. And there must be no ideas but in things. Writing is work and work is writing. And you are fascism with a capital F. Fine food is marionette. The wine you already sold your soul. Beautiful people with intelligence of capital. A collection of consumers craving salts and sweets. A collaboration representing the eminence of servitude. The memory palace and the architects. Outside is where we keep the evil. Outside is where the world begins. Democracy, you are stuck in memories. You should be swimming in dreams. The sky paints itself a perihelion hue of purple, orange, yellow, red, and blue. Azimuths as poems, the celestial coordinate for witnessing the end and also the inevitable beginning. The observer as both origin point and poet.